Hi, I'm Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media. I'm here on the first day of Breakbulk Americas 2018 in Houston, and I have our keynote speaker here with me in the studio, John Heimsath from ACM Logistics. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. He really, I have to say, you woke up the audience with just such an engaging talk. So I'm hoping that you can share some of the high points with us. And I want to start with, and I looked all around the exhibition floor to find a box of crayons for you.
Thanks. Yeah, that is, when I use crayons, this idea of crayons I've had for a long time, but I've been scared to use crayon because I thought it was copyrighted, but it turns out it's not.
Oh,
Crayola is copyrighted.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
Crayon is not. So I was okay to use
Excellent.
Crayon Logistics.
All right, yeah. So that's the catchphrase that John talked about this morning, Crayon Logistics. So tell our listeners, what's that about?
Crayon Logistics is really, there's another way of putting it, and that is swimming into the short, shallow end of the swimming pool. We want to make sure that we understand the basics of what we're doing. I think one of the engineering, procurement, construction project managers said they called it critical path thinking. Critical path thinking. Well, critical path thinking really is Crayon Logistics. If you can't explain this in crayon terms, then you don't know it enough to be able to then use it as a basis to build everything else up on, right? And what I think is that it's human nature to think of all of the knowledge that we've attained over the past years in whatever industry you're in. They say it takes 3,000 hours, 6,000 hours of practice to be an expert at something or something like that. Right. So here I am, and I am an expert in the clearance of cargo into the commerce of the United States. That is what I truly am an expert in. Okay? So when anybody talks to me about those things, I love to start talking about all of this. I'm using vocabulary that it's not Crayon Logistics, and I need to then back up and say, wait a minute, I need to be able to explain or even make sure that I can understand the critical path, the pieces that are there as a foundation that everything else is built on, and be able to explain that. And the reason that's important is that if I am explaining that to someone within my organization or even in the U.S. Customs brokerage field, well, that's okay. But that's not what's going to make a project reduce its cost overruns. You know what it is? It's being able to explain people 3 or 4 steps outside past the handoff of you and 3 or 4 down from the handoff that you're involved in. And in order for you to let them know what it is that you do and understand what they do so that maybe you can see some low-hanging fruit that's going to make the process better, well, you can't do that if you're using all the technical terms. You got to go down to Crayon Logistics, to that shallow end of the swimming pool. This is where we are. This is what the sky is blue. The sun comes up in the west, unless you're looking in a mirror and then it comes in here. But that's what my talk was all about.
Right, that's exactly right. And you had some interesting advice for new generation in the industry and for those that have been working in the breakbulk and project cargo industry for many years.
Right.
And to take advantage of being here today.
Yes.
And exactly what should those two groups be doing?
They should engage each other, right? I can't tell you the number of times that my parents' friends, when I first came into the industry, the old guys then, right? I've been in the industry for 30 years. So the 30 years ago, these guys had all the information. You know what they were saying? All these young guys, they don't know anything and they're taking everything for granted and all this stuff. Okay, now I find that we're doing the same thing,
that's
right?
Exactly
okay,
right.
So then I'm thinking back then, I look at how I was then and I'm thinking, okay, well then I was like, you were unapproachable because you knew too much and you were that, and you maybe weren't really engaging to me, and I respected that and didn't really push. So my message, my challenge is really, my challenge to you is, if you're somebody that has experience. Find somebody that doesn't and explain to them in crayon terms what you do. Now, if you're involved you can barely say what it is that your company does and what your function is, then you're perfect, because what you want to do is you want to then go out and engage someone else that has got the experience. And when you do, what you'll say is, what do you do? But more importantly, what do I do, right? What is my role in the logistics? And if we do that over and over and over again at events like, well, Breakbulk is crazy. You've got, 5,000 people here?
More,
and
yes.
You come together and there is engagement. You want to sell your wares. You want to show off your wares. But I say in that, don't ever forget that you are, wherever you are, a new entrant or an experienced person, responsible for making sure that you impart the knowledge and you go out and grab the knowledge respectively.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for giving us that summary, and again, so engaging.
So wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.